Live from the Great Western Network, this is Wyoming Statehood Day, celebrating the legacy. Brought to you by the Great Western Network and the Wyoming Cable Television Association.
Good morning, Wyoming. I'm Brian Olson, and welcome to our live exclusive coverage to all our stations along the Great Western Network and the Wyoming Cable Association as we bring you the ceremonies live from the state capitol as Wyoming celebrates 100 years. It is a gorgeous day here in Cheyenne, and we will be reenacting the ceremonies that put Wyoming as the 44th state into the Union. For the next hour, sit back and enjoy as we relive Wyoming's history.
Arise, O Lord. Save Wyoming from the strife and violence which prohibition and strikes hath inflicted upon other sovereign states. The Lord will give strength unto his people. The Lord will bless his people with peace. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Amen.
Good morning, this is Bill Du Bois speaking. I'm being the narrator for this morning's performance. That was Reverend James Green of the First Presbyterian Church, reenacting the role of Reverend C.Y. Cowhick, who gave the statehood invocation in 1890. We are now listening to a great rendition of Yankee Doodle being played by the All-State Wyoming Centennial Band under the leadership of Ned Avery of Sheridan. Surrounding the group that are on the stage are the Company H and Company K of the Girl Guards. These are young women of the National Guard who have completely redone their costumes after a great deal of study to make sure that they are accurate from the 1890 period. Also, the 5th Cavalry reorganized will be flanking off to the side. The first speaker that will come this morning is Ruth Strike, who is reenacting the role of her grandmother, Teresa Jenkins, who is honored because of the fact that she was the one who saved the women's suffrage bill when it came up into the Wyoming Constitution. Mrs. Jenkins gave a lot of speeches and paved the way to keep the women's suffrage bill in the Wyoming Constitution, making us the first state in the Union to allow women the right to vote and hold office.
Mr. President, Governor Warren, and gentlemen of the state of Wyoming, in behalf of the ladies present and in the name of many who are not with us today, I am requested to make this expression of our appreciation of the great benefit conferred upon us at your hands and confirmed by the Congress of these United States. Happy are our hearts today, and our lips but sound a faint echo of the gratitude within our bosoms, while we rejoice with you that our young Commonwealth has been permitted to place upon this beautiful banner her bright prophetic star. How much more reason have we for enthusiastic demonstration? The Republican spirit of 1890, with the generosity unrivaled in all the annals of political economy, has admitted into the national jurisprudence the voice of woman. We have been placed upon the very summit of freedom and the broad plain of university equality. Think ye that our tongues are silent, or that we have no need to sing our anthems of praise? History chronicles no such an event on all its pages, and the bells of the past ring out no such victory. We have never been compelled to petition or protest. We have ever been treated with a patient hearing, and our practical suggestions have been most courteously received. And in the future, we would desire a continuance of these favors. We ask of our lawmakers just laws for the enlargement and perpetuity of our educational facilities. We ask of our legislators wise and magnanimous measures for the erection and maintenance of our benevolent institutions. We ask of you laws for the better protection of the moral as well as physical natures of our boys and girls. Even though the maverick be neglected, and taxpayers and burden bearers as we are, may we not expect the proper enforcement of these laws as well as the framing of them? Bartoldi's Statue of Liberty, enlightening the world, is fashioned in the form of a woman and placed upon a pedestal carved from the everlasting granite of the New England hills. But the women of Wyoming have been placed upon a firmer foundation and hold a more brilliant torch. In the days of the past, there came to this region a woman who had been reared among the hardy minds of the East. She brought with her her family, her garden seeds, her doctrine of woman's equality before the law. Her sons lived to do her honor. Her garden seeds have been planted, and she has proven to the world that this desolate plain can be made to blossom as the rose. And today she sits with us at the age of 77, a free citizen equal with her sons. Esther Morris, like Queen Esther of old, has dared to brave the anger of man rather than her own people should perish. We ask no trophies at our feet, no laurel on our brows, but we do ask for these two, Mrs. Morris and Mrs. Post, a wreath of immortelles fashioned the motto of faithfulness and hung on the walls of endurance. And this young girl, guard of honor, picked from the flowers of the state, who today have walked through the dusty streets that they might be beside this beloved flag, may well emulate these examples, preferring ever to sacrifice personal comfort to duty and pride to patriotism. These words of thankfulness would be incomplete were we to neglect to utter the sentiments of all our hearts in enumerating among our noble friends the names of the framers of our Constitution. In the list cherished in the hearts of us all stands out that of M.C. Brown, President of the Convention, George W. Baxter, who introduced our clause in the Constitution, J.K. Jeffrey, Chairman of the Committee, and J.W. Hoyt, who, without malice, trickery, or subterfuge, granted our wishes. And we claim the right today to do these heroes reverence. And in this galaxy of stars, which every woman wears today, a diadem of gems shines out, the fairest and rarest of them all. F.E. Warren and J.M. Carey. And ye who applaud say never again a prophet has honor save in his own country. And as the star of Bethlehem shed his soft effulgent rays over an inland play where lay cradled a new deliverance, so today this 44th star, 8-pointed as we would have it, casts its illumination from the icy regions of the north to the magical blossoms which ripen into tropical fruit beneath the radiant sunshine of our southern skies, from our lofty mountain peaks, with snow-capped peaks towering through the clouds, to the very doorstep of heaven, east and west to the sea-kissed shores of our continent. May these salty surges carry this reflection of their swelling tide even to the mines of Siberia, where exiled woman, groaning in degradation and slavery, may catch some glimmer of hope, and listening hear some note of a glad hosanna that rings out tonight from this our inland plain, not perhaps from the lips of angels, but from the hearts of women, as we proclaim aloud our glad tidings of great joy, the political redemption of our sex. And may that bow of color which spanned our eastern boundary at the golden sunset hour of July 10th, 1890, be but a faint promise of the prosperity, the stability, the harmony of our magnificent domain, guided, not governed, by the hand of man, clasped in the hand of woman. Thank you.
The next speaker this morning will be Georgine Taylor, who is reenacting the role of Esther Hobart Morris, who is credited with giving the original suffrage
Governor
bill.
Warren, on behalf of the women of Wyoming, and in grateful recognition of the high privilege of citizenship that has been conferred upon us, I have the honor to present to the state of Wyoming this beautiful flag. May it always remain the emblem of our liberties and the flag of the Union forever.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Hobart Morris was also the first woman judge in the United States. Now Governor Sullivan will reenact the role of Governor Warren, who was the governor in 1890.
It is with feeling of profound gratitude that I receive for the state of Wyoming this beautiful flag. It is seldom permitted man to stand, a representative for his commonwealth, at the time of its organization and during the period of its transition from condition of territorial independence, territorial dependence, to one of state independence. And it has never before, I believe, been vouchsafed man to represent a state as its executive officer on so auspicious an occasion as this. Here in the open air, neath the crest of the continent, Wyoming, forming the keystone of the arch of states extending from ocean to ocean, celebrates an event significant in the extreme, new in the history of our country, and without precedent in the world. That is to say, a state that in adopting its Constitution extends free and equal suffrage to its citizens regardless of sex. Wyoming, in its progress, has not forgotten the hands and the hearts that have helped advance her to this position. And in the adoption of her Constitution, equal suffrage is entrenched so securely that it is believed it will stand forever. In this regard, Wyoming is not less elevated in her high and proud geographical position than in her example to her surrounding sister states. The figures 44, representing the number of our star on the dear old flag, the handsomest and best beloved national emblem in the civilized world. That symbol will always stand with us for justice and equal right. Women of Wyoming, you have builded well in your past efforts and conduct, and the men of Wyoming extend heartiest greetings at this time. They congratulate you on your achievements and ask you to join them in the future, as in the past, in securing good government for our Commonwealth. Your influence has always tended towards higher development and culture. And now, in the near future, when called upon to exercise your rights and your privileges in the selection of your officers, who must be both your rulers and your servants, we have confidence that you will subscribe to everything that is elevating and enterprising, a pure ballot, the highest moral standing and strictest personal responsibility in public officers, liberal education facilities, and withal, an economical and wise financial policy and management. Ladies, for and on the part of the great state of Wyoming, I thank you most sincerely for this beautiful stand of colors. And I beg to assure you it shall be cherished and protected as a souvenir of priceless value. Thank you very much.
Mary Jo Mirandon, singer here from Cheyenne, will now sing the national anthem as done by Nellie Dwyer in 1890.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
At this point, Jack Meldrum of Buffalo, nephew of John Meldrum, the first Secretary of State and acting governor, is going to introduce Mrs. I.S. Bartlett, the poet of the day. Mrs. Bartlett is being portrayed by Mary Mead, daughter of Governor and Senator and Mrs. Hanson of Jackson. She also is a member of the Centennial Commission.
In our time, there is a saying, cream always rises to the top. Ability. Some people show ability to reach the top. A mountain climber using only his fingers and toes and breathtaking climb scales a sheer vertical wall to reach the top of El Capitan in Yosemite. Or an artist with God-given ability takes brushes and many colors of paint and mixing them skillfully brushes it on canvas, and a breathtaking scene appears. A lush meadow behind which rises snow-capped mountain peaks, bathed in pink, ushering in the dawn of a new day. And yet, another person, by the skillful manipulation of words, can portray a very special event in the history and in the form of poetry. Yes, today we are greatly honored to have that very person here with us at this time. And so it is indeed my great pleasure and honor to give you Mrs. I.S. Bartlett, the poet of the day, who has written this poem herself. Mrs. Bartlett.
The True Republic. The first republic of the world now greets the day, its flag unfurled to the pure mountain air. On plains, in canyon, shop, and mine, the star of equal rights shall shine. From its blue lakes, with light divine, a symbol bright and fair. The flashing presence of today startles our ancient dreams away. Wrapped in her shadows dim, old memory flees. With vivid glance, today uplifting her shining lance. Her army's might, her brow is light, her voice a thrilling hymn. Shine on, O star, no flag of old, no standard raised, by warrior bold in all the days of yore. For chivalric and knightly calm, for honor bright or woman's name, has ever shone with brighter flame than peerless 44. Fair state of honor, freedom's pride, there's none in all the world beside that wears so rich a gem. A commonwealth where all are free, where all find true equality. first in the world shall see this freedom's diadem. The battles fought, the battles won. With thankful hearts we say, well done to all our champions brave. No carnage marked the earnest flight, but souls aflame and nerved with right urged on the conflict day and night, our statehood cause to say, God bless our state. Nature rejoices too, but mountains high above the clouds are touched with brighter light. A new charm fills the overarching sky and thrills earth's denizens with visions bright. God bless our state. The geysers throw their splendid watery plumes still higher in their ancient wonderland. The restless mountain torrent frets and fumes more lordly on its journey to the strand. God bless our state. The very air with new fresh life is stirred. The free exultant birds more sweetly sing, and nature's changing voices ever heard unto our souls new happiness shall bring. God bless our state. Where'er her mighty rivers swiftly run, where'er her mountain peaks shall pierce the sky, where'er her plains sweep to the rising sun, and peaceful valleys in the shadows lie, God bless our state. Its new career begun, let all rejoice, and man and woman, hand in hand as one, with energies of body, heart, and voice, make it a happy land where all may come. If we look within the future, our prophetic eyes can see glorious views unfold before us of joy, wealth, prosperity. We can see the sons of science, music, poetry, and art coming to our grand dominion in our growth to take a part. We can see the iron monster rushing fiercely to and fro. We can see the sky overspread with smoke from furnaces below. We can see Wyoming's mountains giving up their hidden stones, tons on tons by millions pouring of the base and precious ores. See her towns and cities rising, where the bison used to roam, and along her streams and valleys, many a farmer's peaceful home. We can see great halls of learning well endowed and nobly planned, monuments of taste and culture for the children of our land. We can see the spires of churches pointing upward to our gaze, chiming bells, harmonious sounding, calling us to prayer and praise. See the plains, now dry and barren, where the sage and cactus grow. Desert plains no longer barren, then shall blossom like the rose. Thirsty lands, no longer thirsty, filled with moisture, wisely stored, bounteous to the happy farmer, noble harvests will afford. Happy are Wyoming's people, happier will our future be. So we sing today with gladness, and we shout for victory. Let the bells ring out more loudly, and the deep-toned cannon roar give voice to our thanksgiving, such as never rose before. For we tread enchanted ground today, and we're glorious, proud, and great. Our Independence Day has come. Wyoming is a state.
The next speaker will be Jack Meldrum, who is portraying his Uncle John Meldrum, the acting Secretary of the State. M.C. Brown, whom Mr. Meldrum is portraying, was head of the Wyoming Constitutional Convention. At the end of his speech, he will give a copy of that Constitution to Mrs. Amelia Post.
We stand today on one of the mountaintops of human progress. Looking backward along the line of man's endeavor, we behold no smooth or easy pathway, but here and there along the otherwise undulating plain arise the lofty summits of human achievement. Our descendants of Anglo-Saxon We view again with a proud delight the field of Runnymede and the English barons, wringing from the grasp of a reluctant king the Magna Carta of human rights. Here at the dawn of civil liberty, it was first established that men were not created by government, but governments ordained for men, that the right of the individual should stand above the right of government, that governments might not protect and cherish but never destroy liberty. And this heritage of individual liberty descended to us as scattered along the Atlantic coast, a few hundreds of thousands of people oppressed by unjust taxes, denied the civil and political rights, and threatened with bloody and devastating war. Amid the clash of arms and reverberating thunders of cannon, the cry rings forth in tones that startled the civilized world. All men are created equal. The Declaration of Independence is an accomplished fact. From the smoke and dust of battle and the ashes of destroyed homes arises the young giant of America, wresting the scepter of government from the grasp of tyrannical King George, plants it on the shores of Columbia. Liberty lives, tyranny is overthrown, and a new nation is born to the world. Look again, dark clouds rest above our fair land. Never funeral dirge more solemn than the thought of our people. The air is hushed as of a coming tempest. On this unnatural stillness breaks the boom, boom, boom of cannon, and the old flag emblem of freedom and liberty goes down from the walls of Sumter. Now we hear the fife and drum and tramp of gathering hosts, the contending armies, but above the clash of arms come the words from the grandest rulers of men. Thou art free, and the shouts of 4 million slaves join in a happy refrain, and with joyous shouts exclaim, we are free, we are free. Victory henceforth perches upon the anthem of triumph. Again from the din of war comes the words of hero captain and president, as if in benediction. Let us have peace, and the angel of peace, with her loving smile, settles down upon the united country. Happy land, grand achievement. Look again, far out across the great American desert, and beneath the shade of the grand old Rockies, there comes into existence a new state, and the watchwords of its people are justice, equality. To this new state, under the guidance of the great Jehovah, it is permitted to achieve the highest excellence in government yet attained by man. Here, unmoved by selfishness, the dangers of war, or the appeals of non-resident reformers, but moved along by the spirit of divine justice, it was ordained by the people of Wyoming that each citizen of the state should enjoy the same right guaranteed to every other citizen, whether high or low, black or white, male or female. And now, Mrs. Post, I have the distinguished honor to place in your hands, and you as a representative woman of Wyoming, the grand privilege of receiving this broadest guarantee of civil liberty ever established by the genius of man. The Magna Carta of our liberty, the Constitution of the state of Wyoming. From this niveau of history, we look forward to the promised land, whether it shall flow with the milk and honey of prosperity and happiness for women, depends solely upon herself. With these privileges come new duties and responsibilities. Act well your part. There all the honor lies. Your past furnishes the highest guarantee for the future. If you live up to the full measure of your privileges, you will not only bring happiness to the new state, but joy to the hearts and noble women of other states who are struggling for the repeal of unequal and unjust laws. Not only this, but your example and success will bring emancipation to the women of the world.
Mrs. Amelia Post will be portrayed this morning by State Senator Win Hickey. In 1890, Mrs. Post was head of the Statehood Day ceremonies. In 1990, Mrs. Hickey was. Amelia Post was a leading suffragette of the day.
Mr. President, gentlemen of the Wyoming Constitutional Convention, in the name of the women of Wyoming, I thank you for this copy of our state constitution. And in their name also, I especially thank you for that clause in this Constitution which guarantees their enfranchisement. In the history of the world, it has seldom been the good fortune of a body of lawmakers to be able to inaugurate at one stroke a movement in the interest of human rights and human liberties as important, as far-reaching, as grand as this. And in the name of the women of the civilized world, I am here to congratulate you from the able, fearless, and disinterested manner in which you have discharged your duties as a constitutional convention. This grand result of your labors, Woman's Magna Carta, has now become the civilized world, has now been before the civilized world about 8 months. It has attracted wide attention and has been subjected to the keenest possible criticism by narrow-minded people, cranks, and bigots. It has been universally condemned by intelligent, broad-minded people, by the friends of human progress, by the advocates of universal liberty. It has been universally commended. As a means of assisting women to become one of the stars in this grand galaxy of liberty, it has been a most helpful document. On some of the important questions of policy that came before your honorable body during the progress of your deliberations, there were honest differences of opinion among you. But when it came to the most important question of all, the enfranchisement of women, there was no difference of opinion. There was no dissenting voice. You have shown the world that as representative men of Wyoming, you have the courage of your convictions, and that you are neither afraid nor ashamed to allow women all the rights and privileges unrestricted of American citizens. An ancient philosopher of the Orient has said, "The veiled slaves of the harem can never become the mothers of a great race of men. But if you would produce a race of great men, you must first have a race of great women, both as to body and mind." This is the true doctrine. The history of the world has demonstrated its truthfulness in scores of instances. Elevate the standard of womanhood, for there's no surer way by which to elevate the standard of manhood. This is today the most important question involved in the future attainment of the highest plane of human civilization. In framing the Constitution, gentlemen of the Convention, you have taken a most important step, looking to the elevation of the human race. And may each and all of you live to enjoy the honorable distinction this surely should bring to you. And now, Mr. President and gentlemen of the convention, in closing this brief, disjointed, and very inadequate acknowledgement, allow me, in the name of women of Wyoming, in the name of the women in the civilized world, in the name of Christian civilization, in the name of that grand advancing column, the cohorts of universal liberty, again to thank you for this most precious memorial.
At this point in 1890, the band struck up the Anvil Chorus by Verdi. The UP band played then. This morning we have the Wyoming State Centennial Band under the direction of Ned Avery. Singing with the band is the Capitol Chorale of Cheyenne under the direction of Dr. Alice Newsom.
See how the darkness of light dissolves away when the sunlight from heaven descendeth, as when a widow to put off her weeds resolves when her sorrowful mourning endeth. Come, let's be stirring. Give me the hammer.
John Brewster will now portray C.D. Clark, who was a prominent lawyer from Evanston and a member of the Constitutional Convention Committee. John Brewster is the great-grandson of J.M. Carey, who was a senator and governor from Wyoming.
It shall be no part of my duty today to attempt in any measure to fill the part of the eminent statesman from our sister state, who was to address you and whose absence is most deplored by those who at other times had been enhanced by his magic word. Such an attempt on my part would not only be the height of presumption, but could only result in the chagrin of the speaker and the disappointment of the hearer. In his absence, however, I am deeply sensible to the honor conferred, knowing it came not because of any personal fitness, but bestowed perhaps upon one who might be a representative, however unworthy, of that outlying portion of our state, that district whose strength does and shall consist not in the production of orators or carpet knights, but in the union of muscle, energy, and honest sense that shall contribute in the highest degree to the future prosperity, happiness, and stability of the Commonwealth whose establishment we celebrate today. He said this was a day whose setting sun threw its cheering and beautiful colors over the people secure in their future and filled with the honest pride of being not only citizens of the freest and best government on the face of the earth, but its citizens as well as a state whose fundamental law shows it to be a state granting the largest privilege to its people and having the greatest confidence in the integrity and intelligence of its citizen. The privileges and rights that we have gained are those to be the accomplishment of the American patriots, of the hundreds of years ago pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. Politically and in a truer sense than we ever have become a component part of that nation which in peace and war has shown to the world the true merit and stability of a government based alone on the will and consent of the governed. The people of Wyoming with no uncertain voice have gone further in the theory of equality in all political matters than has ever before been attempted. They have gone into this union of states with the full determination to make a practical test of the theory that all are created equal. They have made essentially the new departure and have made worth alone and neither sex nor condition as test of citizenship. Since earliest poet, woman has been the theme of minstrelsy, and her perfection have been sung under the sky in every tongue. But wonderful to us, our infant state, the only true republic, has been the first to say that citizenship shall mean the practical recognition of her intelligence, and that our mothers, wives, and sweethearts shall share with us in equal part the benefits to be derived from citizenship. Every step taken in the direction of personal and national honor and integrity is a step toward the perpetuity of our institutions. And just as true, it is every relaxation of the strict code of personal and national morality is a step in the direction of the ultimate failure of our republic. As Americans, indeed, we have reason to congratulate ourselves and our country on past success. But let us not shut our eyes to the fact that our greatest security may lie our greatest danger. It has often been said that fancied security always has within it the seeds of dissolution, that we must not be overconfident. 100 years is the measure of the infancy of a nation, and our republic as yet but a little more than an experiment. There is no danger from external violence, but I firmly believe there is danger from internal dissensions, from individual and national corruption, and from a lax code of morals, both public and private. The duty we owe our new state then is plain. We must make good citizens of ourselves, and above all, to the education of those who would follow after us. We can hear the sound of coming feet, the hundreds of thousands who are to be directing power of this great Commonwealth must be given the means of becoming thoroughly impressed with the benefits of our state government and with the patriotism of mere sentiment, and something intangible that must not interfere with the reality of our active business life. But if it be a sentiment, it is one that has controlled men from the foundation of our government. It is a sentiment that has found its reality 500,000 patriot graves and in the bleeding hearts and desolated homes of a whole nation, a sentiment for which no sacrifice has been too great and no privation too dear. Let our children then be impressed with inspired with the love of state and country. Let them feel that they are parts of this great nation and sovereigns therein. May they feel that they stand in the light of our great names and that the luster is reflected upon them, and that the future of this land depends in part on their integrity and virtue. And with these teachings broadened and deepened year by year, there will be no danger from the future, and thus shall survive and be perpetuated the state and nation. Strong in the hearts and love of its people, with its foundations laid broad and deep, the principles of external justice and equal rights, it shall survive all the storms of the years and ring in strength and beauty and hope to prove to the world the durability of institutions growing out of the reason and affection of the people.
The benediction will now be given by Father Carl Beavers of St. Mary's Cathedral. He is portraying Father Nugent, who was to have given the benediction in 1890 but was called away by urgent business.
Let us pray. Lord, before we ask again that you bless us, we must first acknowledge your prodigal blessings upon us already, in the men and women who lived the obligations and privileges, the rights and duties of statehood while still a territory, so that Wyoming would prove herself ready to join this great union. We ask you to bless us by tempering our enthusiasm to realize that statehood is a beginning, not a final achievement. But bless us, too, for the exacting demands of the transition days ahead of us, that the idealism and vision of our quest for statehood might each day renew and freshen our energies and purpose. For another special people, Father, you designed a blessing, and upon invoking your name, you guaranteed they would be blessed. This is a special people gathered today, and who also rely on your pledge. So we say, as of old, the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord let his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord look upon you kindly and give you peace. Amen.
This has been a reenactment of the Wyoming Statehood Ceremonies, which took place in 1890. There have been a lot of descendants of the original people involved in the ceremony, and at this point now we are going to listen to some band music by the Wyoming Centennial Band, made up of people from all over the state of Wyoming. This is Bill Du Bois, and I have been the narrator for this morning's performance. Thank you. We hope you've enjoyed it.
Of snow, we are Wyoming, proud and free. We are what America is meant to be. We are Wyoming, we will out their hands to those who arrive. We all belong. There's room for us here. There's a hope for tomorrow, and the vision is clear.